Alright y'all, so today I'm going to probably make this longer than my previous videos, but today we got a massive Halo news update. So officially at ATS this year for Halo, they have officially revealed and confirmed that the next Halo game is going to be Halo Campaign Evolved, or the Halo CE remake. They officially revealed this. They showed off a lot more than I was originally suspecting, and also they gave some very interesting details and behind the scenes information about this game. So I just kind of combed through some of the videos and articles, and this is basically my thoughts on everything and my quick initial reaction to everything just right off the top of my head. As a Halo fan, I am personally ecstatic by this news, and honestly, we got a lot more than I was expecting. So let's get this down. So the first thing they kind of showed was the title, the poster, as you can see here. For the the image for the video, they have the new Master Chief armor. My personal thoughts on that: it looks great. One of my biggest problems with Halo C Anniversary was that disgusting the Master Chief armor. I'm sorry, it looked hideous, it clipped, his hands, his arms were shorter. But yeah, they nailed the look of CE Chief here. He looks great. No complaints from me there. They have also called this game Halo Campaign Evolved, which, from what I understand, like we already knew, this is going to be most likely just a campaign-only experience. They most likely won't add multiplayer, but we'll wait and see. That being said, though, the title, Campaign Evolved, I mean, it's okay. I've always referred to Halo 1 as just Halo 1 or Halo. Combat Evolved's fine. It's just, Campaign Evolved's a little cringy of a title, but it's not like it's not a bad thing or anything. Now they revealed, the main thing they showed off for this was they actually showed off a trailer which showed off a bit of the cutscenes for the silent cartographer mission. Not only that, they showcased a 13-minute kind of demo of sorts where someone played through most of the silent cartographer mission. And they also gave apparently a version of this level to other YouTubers, so you're probably going to see tons of other YouTubers playing it as well and getting their hands on this game. So my quick thoughts on all of this, man. They also show off some behind the scenes stuff and some interesting stuff in articles. So let's get into it. My thoughts on the cutscenes. Now, they mentioned that this was going to be a remake, and in the behind the scenes stuff, they mentioned that the cinematics are going to be a bit different. There's some great news. Number one, Steve Downes and Jen Taylor are coming back to re-record their lines as Master Chief. There's also going to be some different dialogue, and this is already evident in the silent cartographer mission. Cortana says a lot of the same similar things from the original CE campaign, but there's a few lines that she says differently, so that's all great stuff. For the new cinematics, we've seen like 2 of them in the gameplay reveal they showed, and they all look pretty good, to be honest. I mean, honestly, I like this new version of the opening to the silent cartographer, because in that mission, you're just kind of dropped off. Well, in this version, it seems like a war zone. Like, you actually see the Covenant fire upon the Pelicans as they go to the island. One of them even gets shot down. That could have been the one that actually we will get to see later on in the mission. Great stuff, honestly. I mean, honestly, things like this improve the visual storytelling of Halo. So I'm not complaining about it. Now, in terms of the visual quality and graphically, it looks pretty good. I mean, I expected this, but the graphics look really good. And specifically, the art style and how everything looks, I think they nailed it. I was very worried because, they did this with C Anniversary, right? C Anniversary had a big problem with the lighting in that game. The lighting in that game everything was too bright. All the dark environments that CE had, the original, were lost in the Anniversary. That was one of my big gripes about that game. But here, it seemingly they have fixed that, right? They actually have the Forerunner structures look more like the original instead of these neon brighted up monstrosities that were in the CE Anniversary version. They also added, there's also that level where you find the hunters inside the structures of the silent cartographer in the mission, where you fight those hunters, and it's like dark and it's moody. That's exactly what Halo CE's level should be, man. There shouldn't be darkness. There should be creepiness. Not everything should be bright. So that's a huge, huge pro in my book. And I think the visuals look great, man. I think the fidelity, graphically, it looks like an extremely new, modern version of Combat Evolved, but all in the good ways. Also, the enemies look pretty faithful. I did notice some interesting tweaks they made. For example, the red version of the grunts, I think, are mostly actually from Halo 5 and Infinite, but it's not like a huge, like, gripe or anything. They look pretty good still. And the elites look pretty similar to the original. One thing I also loved and noticed, and maybe I'm just tripping, but the hunters look bigger and more, like, monstrous looking. I really like that, man. That's a huge pro. Really enjoyed that. Now for the guns. The weapons look really cool. I like the pistol, the plasma rifle, the plasma pistol, especially how it charges. I like the little animation it does. All the animations are like the same, but they've all had tweaks to them, and they look really good. Even the Halo Assault Rifle looks really good. My only thing about it is that I think it looks a little off from the original, but it's not a deal breaker, anything. Now, they also revealed some other big gameplay elements, for example, the Warthog, which looks a little bit bigger in this remake, which is fine. But that apparently there's a new seat that they added. So basically, Marines can hop onto the back of the Warthog, sit next to the turret, and ride along with everybody, apparently. Which is not a bad feature. Very minor, but it's pretty cool, I guess. Now, a big thing is they also showcase Sprint. Now, I mentioned I was going to be mixed about this. And for the most part, I mean, it looks fine. Yeah, I honestly saw Sprint in the gameplay. Apparently, the levels are gonna be a little bit bigger, and it seems like they're a bit bigger in this remake. And honestly, it's fine. There's not really a huge complaint for me. I think it's just Sprint. I think personally I was probably overreacting, but it looks pretty good. I honestly not complaints there. They did mention in an article that you can turn off Sprint if you don't want it in the game. So if you don't want Sprint in your Combat Evolved remake, then you can turn it off, which is great. But yeah, all the weapons seem really cool and nice. The enemies seem cool. I also like the little details they added with the Jackal shields. They look really good. I hated how they looked like in CE Anniversary, so definitely fix that. And yeah, in general, the mission looks pretty good. And like I said, the cutscenes themselves, they look like they remake a few things, but they seem really nice and well done so far, and I think they handled it very well. I was very surprised we got to see any kind of gameplay for this, just because I really didn't expect that. I thought we were not going to see any gameplay, but the gameplay looks pretty good. I'm not complaining too much. It looks like classic Halo CE. I think they really captured the feel of the original game, but they updated it with new mechanics. Like I said, Sprint, I think I really got to see more of it and how it interacts with the game, but it looks fine in the mission they showed off for this game, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, visuals look pretty great. The map itself looks really great, especially the detail on the environment. I was really impressed. There's a part in the demo where you can see the Warthog making tracks in the sand, and then like it turns and it makes further tracks. That's really great stuff. I was actually technically very impressed by that. I was like, wow, that's actually some amazing detail they added to this version of a Silent Cartographer. So really cool stuff. And like I said, I love the fact that the original voice actors, Steve Downes and Jen Taylor, came back to re-record their lines and add new lines, which is obviously a huge thing. They're putting a lot of effort into this, which is really cool. Now, let's get into some of the new behind-the-scenes stuff they mentioned and some of the things I read in articles. Now, another big thing, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the campaign-involved Halo CE remake is going to be coming out on all systems. So it's going to be coming out on the new Series X, Steam, and of course the other, I think, Xbox Cloud or whatever. But the big thing is that it's coming to PlayStation 5. Now, this is a huge thing just because, Halo's never been on PlayStation. So they're finally bringing the CE remake to this. And we've been hearing rumors about this for a long time. My quick thoughts, I am fine with it personally. I think having PlayStation players play Halo, honestly, you can say what you want about Xbox, right? But I think if any game needs to be put on PlayStation, it can either be the MCC or why not the CE remake? I mean, because the thing is, PlayStation players maybe have never played Halo. So why not start out with the one that started it all, which was CE? So I think it makes more sense, right? It wouldn't probably make sense to have like Halo Infinite be the first game on PlayStation. It would make more sense so to have this on PlayStation. So I'm not really too complaining. I mean, if anything, it adds more Halo fans to the community. So my thoughts on that. Now, they also did announce a year that this thing's going to be coming out, but they didn't announce a specific date, which was 2026. I kind of figured this just because next year is the 25th anniversary of Halo CE. My best guess is they're going to release it around the same time CE released, so probably in November of next year, but that's my best guess. But they did say that 2026 was going to be coming out. Now, in terms of other things, now they had a behind-the-scenes kind of video, and I'll probably get into this further because other YouTubers they gotten their hands on a version of this game, and some people have been able to interview developers, so maybe I'll make a part 2. But they kind of released a behind-the-scenes video explaining their new things they're adding to Combat Evolved, the remake. So basically, they announced, obviously, it's going to PlayStation. They announced that the cinematics of this game are going to take a different approach. They're going to be remade but they're apparently going to have re-recorded lines, new music. Apparently, they're going to take inspiration from the storyboards of Halo CE, which is going to be very interesting to see. And yeah, I mean, I'm all for that, man. I think a remake, I would expect that, right? I would expect new cutscenes done a little bit differently. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Now, they did showcase a few things that we didn't see in the big reveal. For example, they showed off a little bit of the Flood. They showed some people working on a mission. It looked like the mission where the Flood shows up in CE. But like I said, my best guess. But they showed a little bit of CE, and they were talking about how they're going to use the Flood in the game and how it's going to behave a little bit differently. And I'm very excited to see what this remake's version of the Flood's going to be. So I'm all for that. Now, a big thing about this that I was really hoping for is because the thing is, it's all well and good, right? You have pretty new graphics, new gameplay mechanics. They did mention that they also rebuilt all the weapons from scratch, apparently, which is obviously a good thing. Because another big problem with Anniversary was they just they reused a bunch of Halo Reach assets, and that just felt lazy. But they haven't really doing that much here, it seems like. So it's very good that they're making this very much a ground from the boots up effort in terms of all its items and models. But the big thing was, for me, what new cut content was going to be put into this game. Because if you're going to do a CE remake, you got to make it a little bit different. So, from what it sounds like, this is a big thing that got revealed. They're going to add 3 missions to this game, 3 brand new missions, and apparently they're all going to act as a prequel, a prelude to the events of Halo Combat Evolved. They apparently going to look at old, Halo storyboards and other stuff, but apparently that's going to be the new content they're going to add to this. I also wanted to mention as well, brand new weapons are going to be added to CE, and things that you could never do in the original campaign are going to be added here. For example, you can hijack vehicles now in CE. You couldn't do that in the original campaign. Also, enemies, as you can see in the demo, could also hijack things from you, which is awesome. You can also use the energy sword. Apparently, they're also going to add the battle rifle as well from Halo 2 back here. Maybe the Halo 2 SMG, who knows? Apparently, they also mentioned in an article that you can also pilot a Wraith, which was something you couldn't do in the original. So all these little tweaks, also I think that you can also use the energy sword. Famously, you couldn't use that in CE. So all these little tweaks they're adding and new things, while they seem small, I think add a huge amount of value to this thing, and it's all great news. Now, they mentioned that there's going to be a total of 9 new weapons that are going to be added to the arsenal of CE. Like I said, I already mentioned this, but they already confirmed the energy sword and the battle rifle are coming back. Now, for what the other 7 could be, I really don't know. Most likely just weapons from previous Halo games, but I am praying we get 1 or 2 Halo cut weapons from the original version of Combat Evolved from back in the day, just to add things a bit new and add some flavor to the campaign. But we'll wait and see on that. But I think that would be awesome if they add more new cut content from the game. And that's basically the gist of everything. I am very much excited for this remake. I'm glad that they're adding some new content. They're adding 3 new missions. That's awesome. I think that's great. It adds new value. They're also adding all these other little small things to make it a bit different than the original game. My only worry I can really say right now off the top of my head is I am still hoping that this version of CE is still a bit different than the original. I don't just want an Anniversary new coat of paint. You can remake cutscenes, you can add a few new lines of dialogue, but I am hoping for some new levels that look pretty different somewhat than the original. I am hoping too for some things that were never in the original campaign that are here. For example, they could add elements like Alpha Base. Maybe Alpha Base, Chief goes to Alpha Base for like a scene or a cutscene or whatever. It could be really interesting stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that overall they add just in general, like I love CE for what it is, but I think having a remake can absolutely be the opportunity to improve upon things that the original campaign, only like faltered a little bit. For example, I'm really hoping with the Forerunner sections, they don't just do an exact remake of those. For example, the rooms look a bit different. They look different. They look more distinct. The copy and paste rooms are not really there as much. And I'm really hoping that's the case with this remake. And also just, like I said, maybe seeing some new things, some new elements, maybe from other media that we know happened during the events of Halo CE. It would be really cool stuff. But yeah, in general, I am quite impressed with this reveal. I'm not like necessarily, maybe not like blown away, like an all in shock, but I am very impressed how much they showed. I am very impressed. I'm happy that they showed some gameplay. They talked about it in depth. They even gave it to some people to play. Honestly, it shows a lot of confidence, and I think we got a lot more than I was expecting out of this reveal. And honestly, I'm very excited for the Halo CE remake. I'm definitely going to get it, and I'm definitely going to try it out and see if it's any different or maybe even better than Combat Evolved. We'll wait and see. But yeah, that's my kind of quick thoughts on the news about the big reveal of the Halo CE remake, the next big game coming out for Halo. Obviously, if there's any more information about it or other future Halo projects, I'll definitely make another video about it. Yeah, but my kind of quick thoughts on everything. All right, y'all. Hopefully you have a good day, and peace, y'all.